From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2225. These are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, June 24th, 2020. We begin with an amateur radio TV event you won't want to miss. Two high-flying hams taking a walk together in space.
NASA TV plans to have live coverage on Friday, the 26th of June, and again on Wednesday, July 1st, as NASA astronauts Robert Behnken, KE-5GGX, and Chris Cassidy, KF-5KDR, venture outside the International Space Station to replace batteries on one of the ISS power channels. It's a power upgrade that swaps out the old nickel-hydrogen batteries with lithium-ion batteries that were delivered last month to the station on a Japanese cargo ship. The live broadcasts of the walks will be seen on NASA television and the agency's website, and it's expected that the walks could last as long as 7 hours. Chris is the commander of Expedition 63 and will be identifiable by the red stripes on his spacesuit. Doug joined the crew in May following the historic launch of SpaceX's Crew Dragon Endeavour spacecraft. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Andy Morrison, K9AWM.
There are even more happenings above the Earth, and this one concerns the sun.
With all our eyes on the sun and the first twinklings of solar cycle 25, it appears we're getting some big help into solar insights from the Solar Orbiter that was launched earlier this year by the European Space Agency from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. On Monday, June 15th, the orbiter was reported to have made its first perihelion, the point in the orbit that is closest to the sun, in its mission to capture detailed imagery. In this case, that distance is 77 million kilometers, or half the distance between the sun and our Earth. Although the Parker Solar Probe, launched in 2018 by NASA, makes approaches closer to the sun, it does not have telescopes to capture such direct imagery. The Sun Exploring Spacecraft, a joint venture between European Space Agency and NASA, has 10 scientific instruments on board, including 6 telescopes, to help with its 9-year mission. A posting on the ESA website said that the images are to be released in mid-July and are described as the closest images of the sun to ever be taken. It will also attempt to capture the first images of its polar regions. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Kevin Trotman, N5PRE.
Although there's always excitement in space, whenever astronauts talk to school kids back home on Earth, there's been some space-related excitement down here as well recently.
There's a new independent organization in the United States that will be connecting students with the astronauts aboard the International Space Station via ham radio. Part of its name might sound familiar. The group is called ERIS USA. The nonprofit is independent from the more familiar ERIS International, with which it will continue its collaboration on some projects. ERIS USA's main mission, however, is to arrange for ISS astronauts contact with students via amateur radio and to encourage education in science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. Its new status now makes it eligible to apply for grants and to receive proposals for future ISS contacts. ERIS USA's Frank Bauer, KA3HDO, said that the move to an independent organization from a working group will also allow the entity to apply for grants and to sign agreements. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Paul Brown, WD9GCO.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With Andy Morrison, K9AWM, Kevin Trotman, N5PRE, Paul Brown, WD9GCO, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wellbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.